Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the A to B podcast, your number one source for military entrepreneurship and entertainment. Like always, I am joined by my co-host, Barry Bull.
Boom.
And we are continuing our conversation today with Chelsea Jones. She is currently an active duty Master Gunnery Sergeant serving in Camp Pendleton. We just had a great conversation in our part one. Make sure that you guys go to the part one. You guys can see it somewhere up here. I'm going to put part one in there, okay? In the previous podcast, we were talking a lot about females in the military. We asked some very hard questions, and she really gave us some really good answers.
I mean,
really
I
appreciate
wasn't
that.
surprised. I mean, you're amazing. Seriously, the
Thank you.
answers were
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So Chelsea Jones, welcome back. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
In the previous podcast, the way that we ended it, we were talking about you have two kids currently serving in the United States Marine Corps.
I do.
One is the same MOS as you, and the last question that we asked you was, did you ever or did she ever ask for any type of favors? And you said no.
Yeah.
That is which I think that is definitely a very good answer. How is that? If you mind sharing, are they stationed here in Camp Pendleton?
Yeah, they're both here.
Okay, so they're both here in Camp Pendleton. Now, what would be one of the things that you would tell females right now that are like, what is your go-to piece of advice whenever a female approaches you and be like, Master Guns, what piece of advice do you have for me?
Pick your partner. That's really it. Like the person that you choose to get on this train with you is going to be the number one most influential thing that's going to either make or break your service.
So if they got some red flags out there,
Yeah. You
Come
got
on.
it. Yeah. And
Yeah,
and
but-
we were talking a little bit about this offline. The Marine Corps has never had a recruit women initiative ever. They don't recruit women. They don't go out and actively recruit women.
why do you think that is?
You don't need them. It's not like every billet we have could be filled by a man if needed. But we don't have them. So the women that you do get, and you can either agree or disagree, Al, is they're a higher caliber woman. Like they're usually in shape, they're usually motivated, they're usually trying to convince you, the recruiter, that they should be in the Marine Corps. You're not having to do a lot of convincing. Most of them are already pretty much committed to join if you let them, right? Yeah. And so that's not necessarily the case with men. You're begging some of them to come in. You're selling benefit tags every week. You're reminding them of why this is a good idea. And I say that because as a woman, a young woman coming in, you don't know that. You don't realize that until you're way older. And you initially believe that everyone who joins has the same attitude and mentality that you do as that motivated woman looking to prove herself, looking to get out there and accomplish some things. But when you run into that Dusty, I call them Dusty or Ricos or Pookies that aren't about what you're about, you're going to find yourself in dragging somebody along.
Well, Mandatory Fun Day, I don't know if you guys follow him. I follow him.
Yeah.
He just brought up a pretty interesting statistic, and I've been seeing it around because you see it everywhere. You hear it. There's a recruiting problem, recruiting crisis, right? And I think there is. One statistic that he references, something like 75% of the country does not support their children joining the military.
Yeah.
So like you fall into that other 25%. What's that like? Was that even a thought for you, or you just?
My kids grew up pretty good. They had opportunities and advantages that a lot of their peers didn't have. And so while joining the military wasn't the first opportunity that I wanted them to take, you couldn't sit at home and be part-time after all the opportunities that you had. And so if you wanted any support from me or their dad, you either had to go to college full-time and work full-time and you could live in the house, or you could join the service.
Boom.
Didn't have to be the Marine Corps, but anything outside of that, I didn't have any,
Did they consider any other branch?
No. But a lot of it comes with comfortability. My daughter worked at the Duncan on Lejeune, knew the colonel, the base colonel that would come through the it's comfortability. Like they're comfortable with this.
Now, I do have one question. You are at your billet is a very high billet right now, and obviously you have a strong influence on policy.
Okay.
Um, what are some of the policies right now whenever it comes to Marine Corps White? I'm not talking about,
Hmm.
MLG or anything like that. I'm talking
Yeah.
about Marine Corps White. What would be, you say, one policy that the Marine Corps is doing really well, and that is one that you feel that still needs, some adjustment?
Um, my influence on policy is mostly directed towards logistics because that's my
Yeah, Master
and
Guns, yeah.
yeah, but outside of that, Marine Corps wide,
I'm just gonna go ahead and say it.
say it.
Okay. Do you feel that the standards need to be harder for women?
No,
Why not?
because we're doing outside of the PFT. Women are superseding their peer group in every other leadership measure. That's it. We need you guys to come up to our level. Emotional intelligence.
That emotional
We're gonna get more
intelligence
hate on
definitely
this
one.
one, but we're ready
I'm
for
just
it.
saying,
Bring
like,
it, dude.
Yeah.
Bring it.
you don't.
But you're smart because you're leaving all the tough questions to me. You're leaving all the tough questions.
Dude, I get enough
Listen,
hate.
He's leaving me all the tough questions
Well,
for me.
here's the thing, okay,
I
but to
love women. I love my wife. Okay,
Wow, I
think
love
think
women. He is married.
I think women. I
Excuse
think
me.
women are capable of amazing things. Okay, guys. I just gotta ask this question because I know y'all got this questions.
Hold
Okay?
on. Master Guns brought up the PFT. I already did the data mining on this, and the
Okay.
differences for female to male would be the changes to make it, if it's not even, would be so minuscule. It's ridiculous to even make it an argument. Okay, when it comes to performance as a woman versus performance as a man, you're talking about not like a sliver of a sliver. So what am I telling you? Stop crying about it.
Yeah.
If you're not in shape, get your freaking butt in shape. Like, dude, I don't know. I never complained about it because I don't care.
Exactly. Like,
I just don't care. But
Ma-
you hear it all the time. We lowered the standards. We had to lower them. They're so low.
I had
Well,
a.
actually,
It's
the
like,
Marine
what
Corps
did I
never
put
had
my?
to lower
What
the
am I gonna put
standards.
my trousers on different from you? What are you talking
No,
about?
I'll tell you. I used to teach the staff sergeant seminar, and I had two classes with MCT instructors in the class, and they were very vocal about the women that they had in their platoons, and women weren't the ones quitting. Women weren't the ones not achieving in the leadership billets that they were in. They didn't have a problem with them. They did not have a. Women weren't the problem.
Because think about the mentality. You know this.
Yeah.
It's you're gonna. I didn't have the pressure of, oh no, if I quit, I'm a man. Everybody's gonna. As a woman, there's a lot of times you maybe, and I don't know, right? You maybe feel like you're bearing some of the weight of all the other women in that branch, and you're like, I gotta do this. I can't go in there and show my behind.
Yeah.
Like I gotta freaking,
Of course. Yeah, of course. You want to be a good example. You want other junior women. I want other junior women to look at me and think, I want to be like her. I want to achieve that billet. It's possible. You can do it. Like it's the opportunities are there. Get into the right MOS. Don't let yourself be plugged into an MOS where growth is slow, where opportunities for advancement are slow. If you are ready to put in your MESET package, or you want to put in for
Yeah.
ECP, or whatever you're qualified for, Marines, you need to be submitting for those things. Stop letting people who are not in the same direction as you, going in the same direction as you, convince you that that you shouldn't be doing that.
Here's how I always looked at it, and this is just me being real. I always looked at it from a business perspective, right? When you're trying to tear down other members of the team, you're hurting the bottom line, bro. I don't care what it is. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you are, what's your billet, what's your rank. I don't care how long you've been in. You're trying to tear down somebody else from the same damn team. You're hurting the bottom line. My entire thought process was, because I just hated this about the Marine Corps. It's like, I'm going to put you in a position I know you suck at. Not going to teach you how to do it.
Nope.
When you punt it in the stands, I'm going to make sure you get a negative counseling, right? And it just, I don't understand it, okay? I understand that there's a lot of times you don't have a choice. You got to throw someone to the fire. I get it.
Are you talking about talent management?
No. But what I'm saying is, okay, if you were one of my Marines, I'd be thinking, where can I put her in a position to just slap home runs all day?
Yeah. I mean, you as a staff NCO, your responsibility is your Marines should be achieving.
Yes.
Your fit rep is a reflection of your leadership and who are you leading? If I ask you every month, hey, you got anybody for Marine of the Quarter, and you constantly say no, my thought process as
You
a
ain't
senior staff
developing 'em.
NCO is not that the Marines aren't good enough, is that you're not performing as the staff NCO or sergeant responsible for their growth and development. And so this idea that we have of like, oh, so-and-so is not ready for promotion, especially when it comes to like these corporal leadership panels, right? Or these corporal promotion panels.
Sure.
They're not ready. What are you basing that on? What's the basis of that? Because a lot of times as staff NCOs, we are holding junior Marines to a standard that we're not holding ourselves to.
Yeah.
And
That was what.
Well, it's not there's no target. I've been through this a billion times, and and I know you see it, and I know you've seen it. There is no target. It's some whimsical thing in Barry's mind. You're not good enough, and you're sitting there like, I'm just looking at the numbers.
He's 19. What are you talking about?
Well, and here's the other thing, right? It is 99.9% of the time, it ain't the junior Marines.
It's not that.
Think about how much you wanted to work for and impress the people that you were under. You did it. I did it. And there's leaders, and what do? They just trample on it.
Yeah.
Okay,
They
but
don't- they
why do you-
don't-
got you. But man, I'm playing devil's advocate in this podcast.
Yeah.
a
Well, you
lot.
came from Puerto Rico. You're
Yeah,
still,
I came from Puerto Rico, but it's not even Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I just gotta see it from a different perspective, right? I just hate the podcast that everyone just agrees and we're like, oh, well, great podcast, guys. Like I hate that. Like, right. So I like to give topics conversations so that way we can spark.
All right, what do you wanna
critical
disagree
thinking,
with?
Critical thinking,
Yes.
right? I hate to believe that it's just that there's really bad people out there or bad staff NCOs
Sure.
that just simply would like to shed on their Marines. I don't like, so how do we make it better? That's my thing, right? Like, how do we, first of all, identify those staff NCOs that are doing that shitty things?
Sure.
Right? And second of all, how do we train them? Because we can't get rid of them. The right answer is not getting rid of them. Oh, we found them, send them to the S3, send them to the S4. That's not the right answer.
Well,
How do we
it's
train
okay.
them?
So I still get contacted by a lot of senior enlisted Marines and stuff, and they ask me for a piece of advice. And it's like, junior first sergeant. And they hit me up and they're like, my staff NCOs aren't doing their job. And I'm like, well, first of all, never say that to them. And second of all, what are they not doing? Well, they're not counseling. Okay. What process did you put in place to make sure that they're counseling? It's really simple, man. All you got to do is go, hey, first platoon, in 2 weeks, I want to see the counseling jackets on my couch. All right, cool. You guys have a good day. I ain't got to go yelling at somebody. I ain't got to go blasting. You're not doing your job. You should be putting processes in place, and your staff NCOs are going to, just like I talked about Irene O'Neill. She's the first one that made me sit down and read a promotion message from topmost to bottomest, and I learned a ton. And she sat there with me and made sure that I understood it. And from that point forward, I made all my staff NCOs, you sit down, because what do we all do when the promotion message comes out? Am I in zone?
Yeah.
Forget everything else.
Just look for the number.
Yeah. One thing, or actually two. Number one, when it comes to counseling, we got to get the counseling order squared away. Like, the counseling order is extremely vague. It leaves too much for interpretation. There's a lot of ambiguity in it. It needs to be more direct. If the CG is counseling the sergeant major every 6 months, but the counseling order doesn't direct staff NCOs to be counseled at a minimum in that time frame, that's a problem. Like, there's no way an RS can remember every single. Your fit reps are being graded on a 60-day basis. Like, this idea that in an entire year you've never received one counseling, but your fit rep is accurate is insane. There needs to be more transparency with that when it comes to counseling. One and two. If you're a staff NCO, it's not the junior Marines. The junior Marines are not the problem in the Marine Corps. They do not control the training schedule. They do not control the uniform of the day. They do not control the intensity of training. They do not control what time they come in. They don't control what time they get out. They don't control what time they go to chow. They don't control what time they PT. That is a staff NCO, particularly gunnery sergeants and master sergeants / first sergeants. That is you. If you're frustrated with your Marines, you control every one of those things. And one of the things that I've been talking about to my Marines and like the staff sergeants in the course was, there's nothing that says just because you work in the S1, y'all can't wear your flak jacket and Kevlar from 09 to noon on a random Tuesday afternoon for training purposes.
Yeah.
Well, what training purposes? Resiliency training. The point is the uncomfortableness of it. Like, we've gotten so far away from the tactical part of the Marine Corps when it comes to combat service support MOSs that we end up losing some of our capabilities.
But Master Guns, I was part of the MLG. I was part of First Supply Battalion, so that's part of the MLG. And we try to do some of that training that you're talking about. You know what was the word that we were getting from the MLG? We ain't got no money.
What does it cost you to go put your flak jacket and Kevlar on?
Well, yes, I get that, right?
Yeah.
I get that. But what about some real training of what you actually were supposed to do if you were to deploy? Besides
Listen,
putting your flak and Kevlar.
You got to work as staff NCOs. You have to work into in the confines of what your capabilities are. If they're telling you there's no money, figure out something else, because freaking tire flips and hikes don't cost anything.
Can I tell you
but you
something?
know what
I
we
knew
also
Master
have?
Guns was going to have a good answer.
But you know, yeah,
I knew it.
But
I want to hug her right now, but we're recording.
Listen. I got a response though. That's fine. I get that. But you know what we also have besides tires? We also have an armory full of 240s, 50 cals, Mark 19s, M16s, and M4s that we are not utilizing and our Marines are not being proficient at.
But those are things that you graduate into. When we haven't put our flak jackets on for 2 years,
Building
and then
blocks.
all of a sudden, staff sergeant's going to take us out on the range, I need to build something in you called resiliency. Like, you guys aren't, like, a lot of the Marine Corps isn't thinking about this right now, but there's going to come a time when that Red Star cluster goes up and you have Marines telling you that they're not going because we haven't built the trust with them that we know what we're doing. You're going to have to deal with that. I'm out. I'm going to get out. You know what I mean? You guys are out.
Yeah.
But when you're a young staff sergeant, if you're listening to this, or a young gunny, you're going to have to deal with that because it's coming. And if you don't believe me, look what happened with COVID when you had Marines telling you they weren't going to get the shot. They didn't really have a reason why they weren't going to get it. They just didn't trust that what they were getting was the right thing. And that is going to happen when that Red Star cluster goes up and you're being told you're leaving. You're going to have Marines tell you they're not going.
Well, and I want to go back to something you said too, because it used to frustrate me to no end. I used to call it choose your own adventure. The military ain't choose your own adventure. Because the gunnies and the staff sergeants would come and they'd say, well, they didn't sign up for PME. They didn't go to the rifle range. And I'm saying the same thing you are. You control all that.
That's you.
Do you let them decide when they're coming in, when they're going to chow, when they're taking leave, when they're doing this? No, you don't let them decide that. But all of a sudden, when it's stuff that actually requires your involvement, your leadership, your direction, you control the pace. You're developing them.
Yeah,
I didn't even know my way around the freaking building.
But I like her response. I like the response that she gave.
Yeah.
What I don't like is that the response is not what's actually it's actually happening when it's actually happening in those meetings. Those meetings, it happens, either the colonel or somebody will go down and be like, whatever we can do to support. Yes, we're here for first.
Because here's why. Here's why. Because your CO is not being graded on resiliency training. So part of her frustration, part of my frustration was trying to get people to care about stuff they don't get paid to care about.
Until Marines don't come in the Marine Corps thinking they're going to be doing what they're actually doing.
Amen.
You know what I mean? And so when I say we lose tactical proficiencies, like an NCO's entire responsibility, the only reason NCOs exist in the Marine Corps is for technical and tactical proficiency. That is it.
Boom.
Your Marines don't know how to put their packs together. If I rip their pull cord on their flak jacket, they don't know how to put that together. They don't know how to adjust their helmet. They don't know how to wear their equipment. That is an NCO's responsibility. But you can't know something if you were never taught. So where does it start? It starts right here. Senior staff and COs. I don't need the CO's approval to tell my shop in the S3, hey, on Wednesday, we're going to be in flaks and Kevlars from 08 to noon.
At my shop.
In my shop. Just
I can
us.
already see like 3 hazing allegations, 4 EO complaints.
Well, don't do
happening.
weird stuff.
You know why you're going to hear those things? Because the staff NCO that's determining that is not professional. You're always messing around. You're doing stuff out of punishment instead out of training. What's the purpose behind this training? The purpose behind this training is to build resiliency. Because if all you're thinking about in the time of conflict is how uncomfortable you are, you're not focusing on what you need to be focusing on.
Sure.
That is the point. That is what resiliency is. I need you to be comfortable with the uncomfortableness.
Yeah, everybody wants to be hardcore, but you don't become hardcore without going through hard stuff.
Yeah, I'm not having you. All you're doing is your regular job with your equipment on.
Sure.
You can do those things. Why aren't you doing?
Here's-
why is my staff and CEOs not doing hip pocket classes with the gas mask? Hey, everybody, bring your gas mask in 1,500, and you sit around and you have discussions and conversations about what they want to talk about things that they're concerned about talent management. What's your perspective?
I'm gonna tell you why they don't do it. Number one, because it's not keeping them from 1630.
Yeah, it's inconvenient.
And number two, there's no process in place to make sure that it happens on a regular basis. But it's not that they necessarily don't care.
Yeah, they don't know.
Well, like I said, what keeps people from 1630? Most of the time, it's the correspondence that's on your desk, in your hands, and it's what's in your computer, in your emails. It's whatever is that day, right? And when that stuff's done, you leave. You don't think to yourself, man, let's go bust out a quick tactical formation. You don't do that because you want to go home to your family.
Well,
whatever, right?
here's what I would tell you, right? I think we have three very unique perspectives on this, right?
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Leave us a comment and let us know what is you guys' thoughts on this, right? Because I'm not saying it's wrong. I come from an '08 background.
Yeah.
Like we do this type of stuff. Like we need it not only for
You
resiliency.
cannot spell party without arty.
But yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The conversation is not exactly like whether this is good or not. It's your responsibility.
Yeah.
As a staff and CEO,
It's a fact.
you have a responsibility to train your Marines to the best of their ability. That means if you're a HE guy and you have Marines who drive that freaking heavy equipment, there's got to be a time where they're out there with their gas mask on. Like you have a responsibility to train your Marines with the equipment that they've been given, with the
resources.
The resources.
Man, I see
these
this.
are not like this conversation of like if you want to or not. It's not the conversation. The conversation is you're not doing it.
But you know what I already see though, Mexicans. You know what I already see? I already see a staff sergeant looking at this video or a gunny looking at this video. It's like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do what Mexicans is saying, right? And then next thing you know. First sergeant rolls around, sees a Marine with a gas mask on, and then it's like, hey, come here, Marine. What do you have your gas mask on? Oh, because Gunny Ramos told me that I needed to put my gas mask on for resiliency. Oh, bet.
No. That's actual training. Like, that's actual training. Like, these are the things that, like, the Marines who are like, I really want to make corrections, but I don't know because I might get in trouble. It's because you're doing it with the wrong attitude. You are not doing it and coming from a professional standpoint. You're coming from a personal standpoint.
What's the right, like...
Yeah, your unit has mets and medals that they're responsible for conducting every year.
Yes.
Is your training
Can you
in line
explain what
with
mets
that?
and medals are? So that for the people that don't know what the mets and medals, I know what I did the S3, but can you explain what the mets and medals are?
Can you explain what the mets and
Yes.
medals are?
So every single unit has different responsibilities. So essentially requirements. So those are different requirements that the unit needs to establish in order for them to be essentially operational.
They're mission essential tasks.
Yeah, mission essential tasks in order for them to remain operational throughout the year, and they actually get graded by higher authorities on this mets and medals. Okay.
Yes.
So it's a huge deal for the S3 specifically because they're the ones that are in charge of meeting those mission essential tasks. So that is like a huge deal. Usually like everything shuts down. The publications are out. It's like, are we doing this?
Well, every unit has a specific mission, and those mets and medals add meat to that bone.
Yes.
Right?
So when you're out on a McCree evaluation and you're with 7th ESB or you're with CLB 11 and you're in MOP condition, whatever, and you have your gas mask on, do we just not operate the tram? Like we're not going to be on our computers during that time. Everybody's just going to sit in their chair and just sit in there.
Yeah,
No, you have to know how to operate.
That's a good example.
And so if you-
I can remember being...
right.
So if you never do it, if you never practice, how are you going to go out to the McCree evaluation and perform?
Yeah, and I think
so that's what I'm saying.
I think you hit it. I think because you give me a whole different perspective. Because let's say, for example, if I was a gunny, like I told you at the beginning, it's like I wouldn't know if first sergeant comes up to me and be like, "Hey, Gunny Ramos, Why do you have your Marines? You know, my response would be like, oh, because I saw it on the podcast, and it's like, though we need to be mission trained.
No.
Instead of being like, hey, no, it's because this is part of the medals that we need to do whenever we go to mob condition X.
Well,
And I put it
first
on
of
the
all,
training schedule.
there-
And I
there
put
it
it
is.
on the training
There you
schedule.
go.
But that's
There you go.
communication. That's
Yep,
what I was going
yep,
to say.
It's on my training schedule.
Communicated that way, you don't get some random first sergeant like, hey, motivator, what the hell are you out here doing with the gas mask on your face? Now,
I really
as a
like
leader,
that.
when would I have an issue with that type of training? As soon as it starts taking away from the main thing.
Or when it's unsafe. You know what I mean?
Unsafe,
I'm creating safe conditions.
Yeah, I know we
He's
say you
not-
can always fit one more in a Humvee, but that's not true.
Yeah, like this isn't about hazing. It's about your responsibility as a staff NCO. You wouldn't have to haze if you were training to the degree that you're responsible for doing that. Marines want to do these things. They want to do these things. They expected that they were going to come in and be tactical, and we don't do that. It's not because it's uncomfortable for us. It's not convenient for us. And it doesn't have to be after hours. It doesn't have to be outside of any regular working hours. It should be in conjunction with whatever you guys are doing that day.
Yeah.
Now, I do have a question because you kind of briefly mentioned it earlier about talent management. We're going to touch on that. But I do have a question, and maybe you can answer this as well, because I really don't know. When the Marine Corps is making policies or guidance, however you want to call it, ideas. Let's just call it an idea, because it's not policy, it's not guidance either.
Yeah.
So, but it got something that got released, an idea. Let's say it's an idea. How much, before it gets put out, how much say do you have as an E9 into what gets out? Like, do you guys get like firsthand account into it? It's like, hey, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't do this.
What do you mean? Are you talking institutionally? Or
I'm talking about institution. I'm talking about change that happens within the institution. No.
No, we don't get, Every E9 doesn't have input.
Yeah, you got to be, for 89, 99s, you got to be up there.
How do you guys feel about that, though?
I mean, you can't have, like, as a master guns, you're expected to have, that's what we do. We sit around and look at policies and see where changes need to be made based on where we're at today in our own MOS. I don't really know how the 89, 99 community works, but Headquarters Marine Corps has when it comes to that, as far as like
if you don't use your chain of command, wow.
Yeah, but
like if I'm an 06 level sergeant major and I try to talk to an 08 level sergeant major, that's not good.
Okay, but how do you feel about talent management?
I think it's great.
You think it's great?
Yeah.
Why do you think it's great?
I think it's great because when you're 18 years old, you're not the same person when you're 22, 23, 24. As you grow and mature, your capabilities and your goals may change. And being stuck on a career path that you had to decide at 18.
Yeah.
Not really. I don't.
I can already feel Albert disagreeing with you because I think
I don't disagree.
Well,
I don't disagree. No.
In theory, it's great.
No, in theory.
Applicability
that
is where
what I'm
he
saying.
gets mad.
The idea is great. I think the idea is great.
What's your definition of talent management, or like what's your perspective of?
Well,
like,
it's not
what
my
it is?
definition. My specific definition is everything that's in that policy. Not policy, idea.
Right.
Everything that got said there, I was like, yes. I was so behind it. I was like, wow, this is a great direction that the Marine Corps is taking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
But
we are
where
being
did it come off the
competitive.
rails?
Yeah.
We are being competitive with like how it is outside. Like this could be a good selling mechanism for recruiters.
And then the monitors got a hold of it.
And I don't know if again, I'm not gonna. It could be the monitors. I don't know, but the way that I said it, listen, Master Guns, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with anything that you're saying. I'm just gonna be straight up, right? Because you're being straight up forward with me on how you feel. I can respect that.
Yeah.
Okay, I can respect that, and I can get behind it. If the Marine Corps would have come out, it's like, you know what? We're not gonna homestead anybody. We are not gonna do this. This is final. I would have been like, shit. Okay, I gotta conform to that.
Okay.
But whenever you're saying and you're releasing something,
Which, by the way, nobody can tell
And
me why
you are
homesteading is bad.
and you are, whenever you're releasing something and doing the complete opposite, that's what I have a problem with. The same way that I have a problem, like I told you, like I briefly mentioned earlier, whenever you get a CEO and a sergeant major that go out there and be like, guys, let us know how we can support. You guys are doing great. And behind closed doors, you're fucked up. You're fucked up. You're fucked up.
It's lip service.
That's what I cannot stand behind. You know, and that's what I feel talent management is. It is a tool. I'm gonna be very blunt with you, and then I hope that one day you have the sergeant major of the Marine Corps, and you can relay this to him. It's like I feel right now, and I'm not the only one, that it is a tool to fool people.
Carlos, I didn't say
It
that.
is
So
100%.
don't call me and yell
And
at
I
me.
don't feel that he's a bad person or the commandant's a bad person. Because again, I don't even have anything against the commandant, because the commandant, even though I don't agree with, but he's straight up. We have
Your
several
bonus
videos.
is that you get to be a
We
Marine.
have, and I respect him for saying that, because if that's how he feels, I respect people that say exactly how they feel.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. I can respect that. I was like, man, hey, kudos to you.
What was the saying?
Your bonus is that you get to be a Marine.
Yeah, that's not gonna carry much longer, because the brand isn't.
What it was.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Are
Okay.
we so hold on. Are we softer?
I don't
No,
think
we're
we're
not.
Are
softer.
we going woke? Because that's what's going to come up. So, okay. What do you
No.
think about those two words?
Going woke.
Or softer? What do you say? Are we smarter now? What's like?
I don't think it's the junior Marines. Like, we're looking at young people and saying that they're the problem, and they're not, because they don't control all the measures that we discussed before. One.
Yeah.
So the whole like going woke thing, like,
Yeah.
how is that? I don't like.
I don't think the military has gone woke. I think I know what people mean. I think it's a conservative word that gets used to dismiss an argument. That's my personal opinion. We've talked about it
Yeah.
before. And I agree with you. I think people have short-term memory loss. I'd love to sit here and tell you that I was an all-state in every sport, and I was the guy. I was such a good guide in boot camp that I graduated, and I was a drill instructor, and I was a meritorious first sergeant, and then I took the Marine Net course for sergeant major, right? And here I am. But the reality is, I did like 9 pull-ups. I barely ran 20 minutes. I was a linen recruit and got fired. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know my way around the building. Okay. It took a lot of work. I needed a lot of help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that.
I was a diet recruit.
Dang,
You know what I'm saying? Seriously. I'm not even playing.
ladies, you're better. Remember,
As you guys listen,
We're smarter. We're better.
remember what I said.
Okay, but yes,
No,
go ahead.
I think that we have grown institutionally to understand that if you want to keep better class Marines, you're going to have to give some too. Like the whole brand thing, it's that's
too
what
late.
you
We
came in
can-
for. You came in for that, but that's not what's going to keep you here. And if you're already dealing with less than fulfilling job, less than accommodating, or less than stellar freaking living facilities, if you're already dealing with, used and secondhand equipment, the last thing you're going to be wanting to deal with is half-ass leadership. Like, Marines don't come in for all of the accoutrements that come with being a Marine. They come in for the leadership. They're looking for someone to test their mettle and help them realize who they really are.
Yeah, and
Because-
I think you have a very valid point. I loved absolutely everything that I did in the Marine Corps.
But
Yeah.
in the talent management realm, we have also realized collectively as a Marine Corps that I'm going to have to do something better in order to keep quality Marines, like higher caliber, higher quality
Do
Marines.
you feel that's what's happening?
I think that we're figuring out what that is. We're trying to figure out what that is, because we're also coming into, in a couple years, coming into a place where we don't have a 20-year retirement anymore. So all of those blended retirement kids are going to be staff sergeants, gunny selects, and they're going to have to make decisions. And there's no real incentive for them to stay, because they're not getting anything at 20 if they stay for 20. So how do I keep those guys around? what do I do for them? How do I keep them there? There's an initiative that came out. I saw the MAR admin this morning that Headquarters of Marine Corps is asking about how do I get people to take less than like favorable duty stations? How do I do that? And they're looking for advice from Marines on how do I do that?
I'm going to tell you how.
You got to write it down.
You have to look after their families. I didn't give a shit. As a matter of fact, I came from a freaking deployment. When I got my orders, I don't care where I go. Like a lot of people in my MOS, they are scared shitless of going to Okinawa. I love Okinawa. Okinawa is a great duty station. Too. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, I'm gonna share this with you. First time I ever share this. Whenever I joined the Marine Corps, I wanted to go to Europe. Like, I specifically told my recruiter, I picked like the travel and adventure tag, and I told them I want to see Europe.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, so we have Cherry Point, North Carolina, and we have Camden, June, North Carolina, that if you get a job there, we have something that's called Marine Expeditionary Units, and they travel all around the Mediterranean. I was like, sign me up for that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I didn't mind, and specifically as a gunny, going out there and doing a mule, sign me up.
That's a good life as a gunny on a mule.
Yes, 100%. I know that.
You're living good.
I know that. And trust me,
Same.
as a gunny, this is the type of guy that I was when I was in.
Yeah.
As a gunny, you know what I did? My deployment, because we have staff NCOs on rotation. Specifically in my job, like literally in my shop, there's like 8 staff NCOs, and literally all they're doing sitting there is like this, just waiting for a deployment to come up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful.
So we're doing that type of stuff. And you know what I did? My rotation was supposed to be a mule. Okay. And I was like, shit, hell yeah. Female, I gotta say it. Female staff NCO was on limited duty. Okay. Limited duty, that her hips, that this and this and that. And then next thing you know, they call me up. I was deployed. When I got this conversation, I was on deployment in the Middle East. Pick up the conversation on speakerphones, like, "Hey, it was my staff NCOIC. Hey, just so you know, this staff sergeant cannot do this deployment or whatnot. So we're looking for another staff NCO to step up." It was the SP MACTAF deployment. I was like, "Sign me up. I don't care. You need me, I'll step up to the plate." Came back, chopped over, deployed same year. The problem was that while I was out there on deployment, guess who took my deployment when I was out there? Surprise, surprise, the female staff NCO that couldn't deploy. She was out of limited duty in 3 weeks to go to that deployment.
That would have pissed me off. I ain't gonna lie.
But you know what? I don't care. Me and her are cool. I don't care. Like, whatever it is, I'm just stating the facts. If it was because she freaking didn't want to do the deployment or whatnot, I don't care about that type of stuff. Because again, I'm not that type of guy that cares. But you know what? I do care about my family. Send me everywhere. I do not care. Send me anywhere. But look after my family. Give me the opportunity that if I'm giving to the institution, let me give something back to my family. You see what I'm saying? Because yeah, the institution says that they're going to take care of you, but it's not the institution's responsibility to take care of your family. It's my responsibility to take care of my family. You see what I'm saying? And when my kids are having problems in school and it's going through COVID and it's going through all that stuff, and then you give me orders to North Carolina and tell me, I gave my monitor 5 different options for career progression. They were going to send me to North Carolina to the same exact billet that I had. Where's the career progression in that? That's my problem. That's my problem. But before you go, that's my problem with Talent Management 2030. That is why I feel that is a tool that it got released conveniently at the moment that, we're having all this retention conversations. And then all of a sudden, yeah, we released that. But it was an idea, guys. We're sorry. We're not really going to put it into policy.
It's the monitors, dude. It's the monitors. We're at the mercy of the monitors. They're on.
I don't know.
They're on.
The monitors work for Headquarters Marine Corps, and that's something that the Commandant released.
Please, they're on an island. The monitors are on a freaking island. But I don't know. Yes, they are.
Regardless of,
go into that building.
I'm gonna tell you this. It still sounds like I'm 100% over it. Okay.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
I'm 100% over it. You know what? No, but okay, fine. I am over it. It still bothers me because I wanted to do 20 years in the
Well,
Marine
it
Corps.
bothers you because you made an emotional decision.
Boom.
No, I
Yeah,
didn't.
you did.
No, I made a financial
His
decision.
voice even
Then-
changed.
I made a financial decision.
Then sometimes those are the decisions you have to make. You know, my daughter was just telling me this morning, if like I'm not doing an here are staff means I'm not taking. I don't want to do an. And to be honest with you, I don't have any control over that. She knows that. But like you have to make the decisions that you believe are best for yourself.
And then just be cool with it.
Yeah, like you just got to, it's what it is, because the alternative was to take what you were being given and not, and that's why I said early on, I knew this was going to be for me. I was willing to go anywhere and do anything that the Marine Corps told me. I did Okie for 2 years by myself while my ex had 3 teenagers at home because that was what was coming next. And it wasn't because, oh, Patriot freaking master guns. No. It was because the alternative was worse than what I was going to have to do.
Yeah, but the problem
And
that we're
so-
having now is that the alternative in the Marine Corps, if we talk about retention, the alternative in the Marine Corps is that people are realizing that they don't need to do this shit.
So, yeah, to some degree.
Yeah.
Yes, to some degree, especially when you're not going to get a retirement at 20 years. And so that's what I was saying. Like when it comes to talent management, I think Headquarters Marine Corps is at the beginning stages of trying to figure out how are we going to retain Marines that don't have anything. Like they're not going to get anything out. They already got their degree. They already achieved. They were already a drill instructor. That's all they wanted to do. But he's a gunny select. He's turning down his promotion and he's getting out.
They should have
How do
never
I keep
changed
that
your
guy?
retirement. They should have never changed your retirement. I mean, obviously that was a money-saving thing.
Yeah, but I think they did. And at the end of the day, like when we talk about brand, the brand is what you came in for. It's not what keeps you.
That is very true. I do agree with that.
And so when you're talking about career Marines, it's tough. It's going to be hard. I'm really curious to see what is going to happen with that.
I got
very
2
curious.
questions for you. In your career,
Yes.
if you could go back and do it again, do you have any regrets? Like maybe there was a duty station you wish you could have went. Not necessarily a regret, might not be the right word, but you know, like man, maybe you wanted to be MSG and it just didn't line up. You loved being a drill instructor.
Let me think about that one.
Okay,
I'll get back to you.
Yeah, and then why don't we have a Master Gunnery Sergeant of the Marine Corps? Like,
Because you're MOS specific. Like
Yeah.
your MOS, like your like I wouldn't have anything to offer aviation maintenance or DMO or dispersing when it comes to their profession. Like
Sure.
I don't have anything to offer you there.
That makes a lot of sense.
You know what I mean?
okay,
That makes a lot of sense.
so like you're content, Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. We don't need a vein for the Master Guns type thing.
No, I don't think so. I don't see how it could be
Beneficial.
I think there are some billets that, and maybe I don't know about them. I don't want to pretend that I'm like super savvy on this, but when it comes to innovation, I think that MOS wise, it's important to pull in the E9s of those communities and figure out, especially when it comes to platforms. What I mean by that is like in the logistics field, like TCPT, CLC2S, the platforms that we use, pulling in Marines from those MOSs to actually determine and gauge, like, what does your MOS need before we spend all this money giving you something that,
Yeah.
whatever.
Are you going to
Yeah.
have a retirement ceremony?
I am November 7th, 1000 MLG.
What do you think about Marines that don't have them?
I think it's your personal preference. I don't think,
What is the legacy that you would like to, that you feel that you've left in the Marine Corps?
I would hope by now most people realize, like, I really do genuinely care about your success. Like, I really want to see you succeed. Like, other people getting promoted, other people advancing is such a joy for me. I love it. Especially when it comes to women. Like, I hope they realize, like, there are people fighting for you. There are people who understand and know what you're going through. And there is help. Like, you don't have to keep going through what you're going through. And processes aren't perfect, but, like, there's almost nothing I would do to try to help you get something that you really wanted. Whether I could do that or not, different story. But if you really, really wanted something, I would do everything I could to try to help you get it.
Yeah.
What's when you look back at your career, 30 years is such a long time. Does it seem like it just went by in a flash? And like, what are some of the most memorable things that you think?
Oh my gosh. The best unit I was ever at was CLB-22, the 22nd MEU. That was probably like, I will never forget that unit.
Why?
We had an incredible Sergeant Major Vince Young. We had, our staff NCO Corps was so tight. The float itself was just incredible. Nobody got in trouble. Our NCOs were fantastic. I loved that unit. I mean, that was a great unit. But,
Shout out to the 22nd MEU.
Yeah, Okinawa was a fantastic time. I don't know why people fear that so much.
Yeah, the fear of the unknown of going to a different
It is
country.
not. Yeah, it is. It's such a great place to be, especially if you have little kids. What a fantastic place.
Yeah.
Those are probably some of the most memorable things.
Do you think you see yourself the way other people see you? I mean, you're one of 66.
No, I think a lot of people see me as probably like, oh, she's really mean, you know, she's so intense. But once you get to know me, it's not really that.
I mean, you know, 1995, you were a Marine. You were born in Parris Island. You made Marines. 30 years you served your country.
Yeah.
We're not going to hold Texas against you.
Yeah, don't.
But seriously, like
I'm never going back.
Like that's why Albert asked you know, are you an anomaly? Because it's so uncommon.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself that way?
I don't, because I know how many great women would be here too had they just stayed in.
Who are some women that stick out to you in your time?
Oh, Lynette Wright, fantastic. Sergeant Major Laura Brown, great. Jackie Gibson, Rhonda Kirkby, Felicia Contreras, shout out 0491. I have so many great memories of and such deep respect for some of the women that are doing this. The sacrifice that comes from being a woman in the military is I don't think men really understand that.
We don't.
Yeah,
we don't.
Because I'm doing everything.
That's why I want to ask, Master Guns, because
we do everything you do and then everything your wife does, and that's a lot.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. It's a lot, and
I do not have a wife, for the record.
I don't have a husband.
You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, but it's genuinely like probably the best. This is the single best decision I made in my entire life, was to join the service.
Single
best decision I made.
Listen to
And
that.
stick it out.
This is the third person.
Single third person.
Third person.
I held up one finger because I can't count on my sergeant major. Single best decision
Yeah.
that you have ever made. Are you going to cry at your retirement?
I think so. I think I will. I'm pretty sure I will. Like being able to see all, you know, because when you see all those people sitting in the stands or in the seats, it's just like love being reflected back at you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People who don't respect you and don't like you don't show up.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And so to see all those people that are there who just came out to wish you off, man, how great can that be? How fantastic can that be?
Yeah. Now,
So
November 7th at 10 o'clock in the MLG lawn.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any significance to that date, or just is that?
it's the day before the ball, and so I wanted my family to be able to share that last one with me, and then some of the guests that I had coming wanted to attend. But it's just my last day, like in uniform, sort of like before I go on terminal and all that.
Got you.
The last like active work day.
Yeah.
Now, November 7th, 10 o'clock at the MLG front lawn.
Yeah.
Ceremony is over. What's next for now civilian Chelsea Jones?
You know, I've been thinking about this a lot. I kind of worked myself into a situation where having to get a job isn't like I don't have to. I didn't want to feel the pressure of like applying and interviewing and doing all that. So I kind of set myself up to where I could live off my retirement and be okay. But I'm too young to really like not do anything. I'm really passionate about politics. I think that's something I would enjoy getting into. I'm getting ready to have a grandbaby on the way.
Oh, that's
So there's
awesome.
so there's that.
Congrats.
Yeah, I know. I'm so excited. But I don't know. Like kind of like the door's wide open. I don't know what it's going to be.
So you're passionate about politics.
I am.
What what are some of the things that you're passionate about politics? What are some of the things that really drive you towards politics? Is it the fact of helping people, being able to influence policy or
Yeah,
laws?
influencing policy, understanding like how man, we're getting into a whole different conversation. This might be a different podcast, but like when I began to understand what America stood for and what America was founded on and where we sit today, a lot of the things that I think we can be doing better.
Yeah.
I think we can be doing a lot better. And so I would like to be a part of that process, at least bringing attention to, or I think there's enough attention to it, but actual like changing some of our laws.
Where would you like to where would you like to start? I'm talking about like position.
Location or
Yeah, location and position. Like
I mean, yeah,
would
you
be
got to
local.
start local. You have to start
Local.
local. Like, I don't think I have the reputability to be at like a national level. So
I'd vote for you.
Yeah.
you would be surprised to know that we disagree on a lot of things.
Which county? Which county?
I'm in Fallbrook, so
Yeah,
it's still San Diego County.
San Diego County.
I think
Okay.
Daryl Issa is my rep, and yeah, that'd be
Got you. So
that's national level though.
got you. So you're trying to get into politics. What will be, because obviously you said that, financially you're doing good, that you
Yeah.
can live off your retirement. It seems like you're very relaxed about the decision of just simply like transition out. Well, I mean, 30 years, come on now,
Yeah.
So what would be a piece of advice? Not that you will get all Marines.
Yeah.
That you will get Marines that have done more than 20 years. What will be one piece of advice? And then now they're about to transition. What will be one piece of advice that you would give to them?
Pay off as much debt as you possibly can. Get your VA loan, your VA home loan started before you retire. You need to start doing that as soon as you decide this is it. Like you need to start getting that taken care of because
Yeah.
once you're too close, it's really really hard.
Yep.
When that EAS is 6 months is 60 days and you're trying to buy a house, yeah, it's tough.
A year, actually. If
Yeah.
it's within a year.
Yeah. So I would recommend that.
She said it, guys, not me.
Start getting your family ready. Like start getting your family ready for the transition, particularly if you have young kids or you have high school kids or whatever. If you're still on the fence about should I do more, I would tell you yes, keep going. If you can retire with all your kids grown and gone, that's your goal.
Yeah.
That would be your goal.
Well, number one, I want to touch on this too. I think our number one mission in life is to make ourselves the person that we're proud of and give that person to the world,
Yeah.
And so I think we all go through these things because somewhere out there, there's a younger version of us. And, I like to look at life as I like the car wash. Nobody goes through the car wash without getting wet,
Yeah.
right? So there's a younger version of you out there that
Yeah.
is going to go through something and they're not going to be sure of themselves. And they may need a moment where you put your arm around them and say, you can do it. I believe in you kind of thing. I talk to a lot of people on the down low because when a lot of retirees get out and you just don't hear from them, they're still out there, but they're struggling big time.
Yeah.
And one piece of advice that I give them is you're a teacher, you're a mentor, you're a coach. And you need to find something where you're continuing to add value to other people because that's what you've been doing for 30 years.
I would agree with that.
Okay, so just like Tony Robbins says, if you want to find your passion in life, you have to become addicted to growth and progress.
Yeah.
As soon as you're sitting there and you're twiddling your thumbs and it's like you're looking back, this is who I was, and you're not trying to grow, no matter how small it is, I lost a pound, whatever it is, growth, progress.
Yeah, Master Guns, I definitely appreciate you
Thank
you coming onto the podcast today.
We got to have her back sometime.
Yeah, we actually have that's gonna be tomorrow. But what we're trying to do is we're actually trying to start a roundtable discussion podcast.
Yeah.
We have our first one tomorrow. It's going to be in collaboration with the Cigarette Podcast. So shout out to the Cigarette Podcast. We're going to be doing it in the conference room. And essentially, we are bringing two, it's going to be all types of ranks and all types of walks of life.
Yeah.
So, and it's going to be kind of like the conversation that we had today, right? At the end of the day, I respect the fact that you came in here and you shared how you felt.
Thanks for having me.
I really feel that a lot of people, regardless of gender, they're gonna identify with you a lot, and they're really gonna like this. I know we wish you nothing but the best in your retirement. If the invitation is open, November 7th at 10, I will be there. I promise you that I will be
I
there.
will send you an invitation.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, guys. Like always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you guys subscribe to the podcast. Make sure that you guys like, share with all of your friends, because our intent is to bring the most value to you, our watcher and listener, okay? Barry, where can people reach out to you?
I wanna say, if there's something we didn't talk about, a question, a topic, specifically with master guns or for anything, put it in the comments. Let us know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, this is for everybody. This is for all of us, man.
Yeah.
So hit me up on Instagram at Bull5277, TikTok at Bull52772. Click the link in the bio. The call is free, and the change will last a lifetime.
Master Guns, where can people reach out to you?
They can reach me on email, chelsea.jones@usmc.mil. For those of you that are still active duty, you can get me on TikTok, Master Guns. Master Gun Sergeant 0491 is my TikTok handle. Other than that, I'm not on IG. And my Facebook's kind of locked down, so.
All right, guys. As you guys always know, you guys can reach out to me in the link in my bio. Make sure that you guys like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next podcast. Let's go.